Made my mom my maid of honor to bring us closer, but she hated my friends, ruined my bachelorette party, and didn't show up to my wedding. Now she only texts me to pay her phone bills. So, a few months back I had a bachelorette trip to Puerto Rico. Two of my bridesmaids were able to come, and my mother and sister tagged along too. I asked my mom to be the maid of honor since I figured it would help us bond while getting ready for my wedding. My whole goal was for everyone to get along and just have a good time. I should have known this was going to be a disaster. A couple of weeks before, my mother started badmouthing all of my bridesmaids/friends. She was particularly focused on one who was actually going on the trip. I ended up paying for my mom, sister, and my own flight to ease the burden on my mom having to pay for both her and my sister. The plan was for my mother to cover her and my sister's hotel. My friend reached out to everyone to try and plan something for me without me getting involved. I should mention that I planned the bachelorette trip as the bride. When my friend reached out to my mom and called her, she wanted to help as much as she could. My friend is actually Puerto Rican, so she was going to be a huge help with this trip. At the time, I didn't know about this call. My mother called me at 3 a.m. after having that call with my friend that day to tell me she hadn't been doing her maid of honor duties because she was observing everyone and everything. She then said as the maid of honor she should be planning the bachelorette trip. I found this conversation weird, but I said okay. I was relieved that she finally stepped up to help me with the trip. My mom did say before the call ended to not tell my friend she talked to me about this, which I also found weird. The next day, my friend called me and told me that she wanted to make sure that I had a great bachelorette that I would remember and that it's all about me. She wanted to help me with the excursions I wanted to do, and I told her my mom wanted to plan as well so they could work together. The next day, I saw my mom and she totally went off, saying my friend was disrespectful and that she wasn't about to let some little girl boss her around on this trip. She made it sound like there was something wrong with my friend and even complained about not wanting to wear her stupid t-shirts during the trip. She started raging and told me she didn't want to go in the rental car with my friend and would rather take an Uber. Her words were, "Your friend is disrespectful and I will beat this bitch's ass." This immediately started stressing me out. She said she didn't like my friend, thought she was disrespectful, and even claimed she had mental issues. I ended up calling my friend and asking her if she could cancel the rental, but she said she couldn't. I created a group chat for the ones attending the trip, and my friend was asking questions about the activities we were going to do and how excited she was, but my mom and sister got annoyed right away. My mom was supposed to plan the activities that we were going to do in Puerto Rico. She refused to let my friend do it or participate in helping, and again, my friend is Puerto Rican. Fast forward to the first day of the bachelorette trip. When we arrived, my mom's luggage was missing, the one with all her toiletries. She was pretty upset about it. When we got to the hotel, I let everyone rest since it was an early flight. My friend got there a little later in the day, and I met up with her and my other friend in the lobby. I called my mom and sister to meet us downstairs so we could go with them to replace the toiletries that were lost and to have dinner. As me and my two friends were waiting, my mom came downstairs and stood behind my Puerto Rican friend and said hi to her so quietly that she couldn't hear her. I hinted to her that my mom was standing over and behind her while she was sitting on the lobby couch, which I thought was weird. She turned around and said hello. My mom instantly just said, "Okay, I'm out of here, go hang with your friends." She literally ran off. My sister didn't say a word. When I tell you the vibe was so off, you could cut the tension with a knife. I asked my friend what was up with her and my mom because something just felt really weird. She told me she didn't really know her, so she didn't get why. I decided to just head to the bar with my friends and wait for my mom and sister to come back. 5 minutes later, I get a text from my mom saying, "Shame on you, you betrayed your family. You chose a nobody over your own family. I'm disappointed, and your sister and I are out of the wedding." I responded and said that I didn't and asked what the problem was. I was then ignored. I started bawling my eyes out because I didn't want my bachelorette to be like this. My friends tried to cheer me up and took me out to dinner. I decided to let things cool off and try to smooth things over in the morning with my mom and sister. I went to my mom and sister's room and knocked on the door several times and kept going back to knock on the door. I also called each of them and no answer. I even hung out in the lobby to see if I ran into them and nothing. I called both of them again later in the afternoon, and finally my sister picked up. I asked if they were okay and if we could squash whatever happened and move forward with the plans. I asked why they didn't answer me for hours, and they said they were sleeping, which I knew was a lie because I heard someone look through the peephole when I knocked earlier. My sister said they're not doing any of the activities that I wanted to do and that they were having lunch and wouldn't tell me where they were. I felt like crap. My mom planned nothing that she said she was going to plan. My friend even texted and reached out to my mom and apologized for whatever my mom thought she did and called, but my mom didn't answer. My friend did her best to salvage the rest of the trip for me while my mom and sister were nowhere to be found. The day before we had to head back home, my sister finally got in touch to ask for their plane tickets, which I had bought. I sent them over and felt instantly upset. My mom had asked me to cover her hotel stay with my credit card, promising she'd pay me back. Honestly, I think she never planned to because, well, she's my mom. They totally ignored me the whole trip and then had the nerve to demand their plane tickets. I decided to switch my flight and leave earlier. No way could I sit on a plane with them and pretend everything was fine. My sister called to see if I was getting an Uber to the airport, and I told her no, I was on a different flight. Then my mom finally showed up and called me, saying some really hurtful stuff. She told me I was disloyal, that I always got everything wrong, that I overthink, don't care about her or my sister, that my feelings were wrong, and she called me a liar before hanging up on me. My friend then told me about a conversation she had with my mom earlier. She didn't want to share it out of respect for my mom, who had asked her to keep it quiet. My friend said my mom was bad-mouthing me, my fiancé, his family, and even how I was planning my wedding. It put my friend in a really awkward spot. Ever since that trip, I haven't spoken to my mom or sister, and they didn't even show up to my wedding. The only time I hear from my sister is when she texts me to pay both her and my mom's phone bill once a month, and that's it. Comments deleted, my eyebrows rose when your mom called your friend a little girl. Those are big words from someone who supposedly needed their trip paid for. Are you cutting them off financially? It's okay if you do. They don't treat you with love and care, so why should they get it from you? Anomaly 19 op, I plan on cutting them off. Only thing left to cut off is this phone bill situation. I'm nervous about doing it because it's going to stir up more drama that I don't need. Delete it and I got you. Just send them a text or a registered letter saying you won't be paying their cell phone bills anymore, starting on a certain date. Then mute them on your phone in case they say anything incriminating that you might need for evidence, and block them on social media. Get some cameras for your place. Don't answer the door if they show up. Call the cops if things get out of hand. They can't cause trouble if you're steering clear of them. Anomaly 19 op, thanks for the advice. Excellent _ add 1132. You did your best and so did your friend, but your deadbeat donor and crappy sister totally wrecked it. It's time to cut them off for a good long while. At least until you forget how they treated you and trick yourself into thinking it wasn't that bad. But for now, cut them off and stop paying for their phone bill. Since you're not family to them, why should you pay for anything of theirs? They already had you cover the trip and their hotel stay, so I'd say you're done with their nonsense. Content _ great _ grandma, your mom completely ignored the fact that the bachelorette party was supposed to be about you, not her. Did I miss something? Why were you paying their phone bills at all? Anomaly 19 op, this is something I've been doing for 10 years since I was in college. My mom made that my responsibility when I was living with her and going to school. It was tough to handle while I was in college. She never took that responsibility back. Content _ great _ grandma, like others suggested, it's time to stop paying her bill. Just tell her you'll deduct the cost from hers and your sister's airfare since she totally ruined your bachelorette trip. I hope your wedding was everything you wanted it to be, without the drama twins, and that you and your husband have many years of happiness. Hey everyone, thanks so much for all the advice and comments. I wanted to give you an update on my original post. So I've gone no contact with my mom and sister. I got a new phone and number, and I texted my sister to let her know I wouldn't be paying for their phone bills anymore. After that, I cut off the old phone and switched to my new line. I also blocked and removed them from all my social media. Right after I did that, my mom showed up at my job, claiming there was an emergency and she needed to talk to me. I told my coworker I wasn't going to answer and there was no emergency, so they shouldn't pick up if she called again. She hasn't tried since. I think she was just trying to guilt-trip me into paying their bills like she did on my bachelorette trip, but I wasn't falling for it this time. I also cut off my sister's Apple Music, which I know she's probably pissed about. Felt really good to do all that. Oh, and I found out my mom had added her husband's phone payment plan to our bill a year ago without telling me, and that was the last straw. I hadn't noticed because it was only an extra $35 a month, but that adds up over time. I ended up paying $500 for it before I cut everything off. I mean, who makes their daughter pay for their husband's brand new iPhone 14? How can someone be okay with doing that to their own kid? I'll never get it. It's been 7 months since I went no contact, and my life has been so much more peaceful without all the drama. It's brought me and my husband closer together. I can honestly say I'm happy and starting to feel like myself again. My relationship with my mom and sister was toxic and had me in a really dark place. That trip really opened my eyes, and I'm excited for better things ahead. I'm definitely planning on doing my bachelorette trip over the right way. Texas, Texas, Texas one, I could have written this myself. I'm on month 4 of not contacting my mom and sister. Life is so much more peaceful and drama-free now. Anomaly 19, you had issues with both. What made you decide to cut them off? Texas, Texas, Texas one, my sister is totally into this crazy COVID denial stuff and thinks Democrats are hooking kids up to machines to steal their adrenaline. She's dumber than a rock. She dragged family members into her nonsense online and wouldn't apologize. That was the final straw for me. She can't be around my family or my kids. My mom defended her keyboard warrior daughter who's been sponging off her for nearly 10 years now. That's the short version, and honestly, I should have cut them off 30 years ago. My life would have been way more peaceful and less embarrassing. Peter 95,837, I will never spill the beans. Life can be so much more peaceful and easier once you cut off people who are massively entitled and just terrible. Because damn, this mom really is full of entitlement, manipulation, and bigotry. I've never met entitled people before, but I can't imagine how I'd react if I had to deal with one. Good for op at the end of the day. Thumbelina 1234, I've cut off my mom and it was the best decision of my life. I should have done it sooner, but better late than never. Gwynison, I asked my mom to be the maid of honor because I thought it would help us get closer while getting ready for my wedding. Oh, I just knew from this that the rest was going to be a total disaster. Mabel_Wattles_BFF, Erecto Patronum. My mom was being a total pill before this, and Oop asked her to be the mo-hopping it would improve her behavior. Ouch, see, I thought it would help create a closer bond between us, and that was the red flag that told me they were not close at all. Watch and Fern, it's like asking a random person you meet on the train to be your maid of honor just because you want to be their friend, but worse. My cousin Willie J. Wade had a near-complete stranger as a groomsman because his wife wanted an even wedding party. While they were renting the suits, some guy was in there getting his son measured for prom. My cousin started chatting with him and just invited him to be a groomsman. Now on to the next story. Story 2. My fiancé yelled at me on my graduation day, canceled our wedding a week before over a small fight, and told guests the wedding was called off. Now he's begging me to get back together. So my ex-fiancé, M30, has canceled our F30 wedding a week before it was supposed to happen. We've been together for about 6 years and lived together, just so you know. What happened was basically an argument that got out of hand. We were heading to my program graduation, which was a smaller event with about 10 students and some professors from a community college. That morning, as we were getting ready, I asked if he'd be okay with wearing one of his button-ups instead of the shirt he had on so we could get a nice photo. He was annoyed and snapped, saying, "Why do I have to do things for others?" I told him that he truly doesn't have to. I was just asking, but it's ultimately his choice. He ended up putting on the button-up and we arrived at the ceremony. Everything went fine and he was very happy for me. However, on the way home in the car, traffic was filling up and he was annoyed. I offered an alternative route that I know cuts some time, and the exit to that route was coming up. He didn't take it, and I was slightly annoyed about it because he was cranky with me about traffic. So I asked why he didn't take it. He started full-on yelling that my tone was rude and that he doesn't have to drive the way I tell him to. I replied saying that I literally just asked, and I don't actually care what route he takes. He was the one having a problem with traffic. He totally lost it and blamed me for getting him all worked up. When we got back home, I said sorry and told him I didn't mean to sound harsh. I also mentioned that yelling doesn't fix anything and we should just talk it out. He basically said that saying sorry doesn't cut it and that he needs these things to stop happening or he'll keep blowing up at me because that's the only time I actually listen to him. A few hours later we talked again. He apologized for raising his voice and I apologized for the mix-up that happened. Even though we sorted it out later that night, I was crying because he so easily yells at me when he's upset. I was so upset that even on such an important day for me, it felt like he was picking fights. And to top it off, yelling is a huge red flag for me, and I never do that to him or anyone. The next morning at breakfast, he asked why I seemed down, so I told him everything's fine. I'm just processing what went down yesterday. He asked me to open up to him, So I told him that I felt like my special day was kind of ruined by fighting over stuff we could have easily worked out. He immediately got all worked up and started getting angry again. He blamed me for the fights, and when I said that it's not fair to blame me, he got even angrier and said that he can't do this, that I'm not good at communicating, and that he can't get married like this. I was totally shocked. I thought he was just speaking out of emotion like he's done before, but this time he actually sent a mass text to some guests to let them know the wedding is off. I was completely floored by how fast it happened and so confused. We started arguing and then had to head out for our days. Later that day when we got back, I asked if this is really what he wants, to call everything off, and he responded with a firm yes. What I thought was just an angry outburst seemed to be set in stone for him. For the rest of the night and the next day, I tried to fix things between us. After hours of talking and me crying a lot, he kept saying that I don't communicate well and that it's my fault we're canceling. I tried to suggest some fixes, but he was dead set on canceling and breaking up. I asked if we could wait a day or two to make sure this is what he really wanted before we canceled the venue, but he said no and wanted to cancel the venue and vendors right away. So we did. The next day I ran some errands and then hung out with my friend. It was a really tough day and I was heartbroken, still trying to process that this was happening. When I got home, he wanted to talk and started crying, saying he regretted everything he'd said in the last few days. He said he didn't mean it, he was just angry and not thinking clearly. He said he'd start therapy and now wanted to do couples counseling too, after I'd suggested it so many times. Anyway, he apologized over and over and kept asking if we could fix everything or if he'd messed up. I was pretty sure this regret was coming, and honestly, maybe it was harsh, but I told him, yeah, you messed up big time. You made a hasty decision that really hurt our relationship. There's no going back from this. He basically begged for another chance, but everything's canceled and my trust is broken. The wedding was supposed to be in 2 days. His aunt was supposed to be on her way to our house to help us pack decorations. And now, there's no way we can reschedule everything, and honestly, I don't want to at this point. This isn't the first time he's canceled plans or broken up with me during an argument. Everyone's telling us that this is fixable, that clearly we love each other, so if we want, this situation doesn't have to be the end of our relationship. But I don't get how. So much time, effort, and money went into this wedding that's now off. And more importantly, I can't trust him anymore. I don't know what to do at this point. We were supposed to go on our honeymoon right after, so now I'm thinking about going by myself. He asked if we can go together and use that time to fix things, but I'm just questioning everything. I think I'd rather go alone to do some soul searching. Should I call it quits and move on with my life, or take his word and start couples counseling? I love him with all my heart, and we've had so many loving moments over the years. We don't have any issues aside from these incidents, but I don't know if it's actually possible to come back from this one. Thoughts, advice, comments. He loses his cool over the smallest things, like he'll yell if there's traffic and it's always her fault. If she suggests a different way home, he gets mad. He asks why she's down, and the second she starts to explain, he just flips out like a toddler. And then he has the nerve to say she isn't communicating. I mean, there's gaslighting, and then there's actually setting your partner on fire like this. Go on that honeymoon without him, or send him on it and use the time to pack your stuff and move out. This is not someone worth fighting for. You've just been handed a get-out-of-jail-free card, take it and run. He breaks up with you every time you fight. That's not stable or healthy. I would recommend moving on from the relationship and finding someone who won't hold your relationship hostage every time there's an issue. You'll be amazed at how much better a healthy relationship will be for you once you move on. Update. Thanks to everyone for the comments and support. Since all this happened, he apologized a ton and offered to return the venue and still get married on the same day. He also offered to start couples counseling right away and continue after we get married, if I still want to. Additionally, he offered to go on the trip together to fix things. I turned down everything since the damage was already done, and I decided to go on the honeymoon by myself while he packs up all his stuff. He's going to start his own therapy journey while we're broken up. I don't know what's next, but this hurts so much because we still love each other. He's going to work on his mental health to address the impulsive actions when he's upset. He also realized it wasn't actually a communication issue, but rather how he felt attacked because of his own confidence issues. I appreciate his honesty, but can't see how it's possible to forgive what happened. I'm torn between trying couples counseling since he seems genuine and completely separating. Comments, food for thought, move on. Count your blessings that you didn't end up marrying this guy. As a hard rule, if a dude loses his temper over ridiculous stuff and keeps walking away, breaking up or even canceling a wedding by texting guests before you've even finished discussing it, that's not husband material. He saved you a world of heartache. Move on. Choice intention 926, call it quits. He does things with the intention of hurting you or making you sad. I don't know where his resentment is coming from, but frankly, that's on him to figure out. He will deliberately hurt you in the future if you stay. He's not marriage material. He shouldn't be the father of your kids because this behavior will escalate once kids are involved. Realistic Airport 775, a healthy relationship is built on trust, honesty, respect, and open communication. As a start, you stated you can't trust him anymore. Your words feel like a true statement. Love is not enough. You are correct that he needs help, and it is likely better to do it without the extra pressure of a relationship. A long break, say 6 months, to really show he is able to work on himself, set goals, etc., at least set yourself free of being screamed at. That is also a choice you can make.